What's up, friends? Today on Tuesdays with Taylor, we're talking about how to buy your first home. Coming up next. I'm Taylor Osasonic, a Colorado native and now a Colorado Realtor with Keller Williams Preferred Realty. Today I'll be sharing with you the 8 steps to buying your first home. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing to do is to meet with a lender and get pre-approved. It's also important to know how much money you're going to have to put down. A lot of people still think you need a 20% down payment to buy a home. The reality is 3.5% is usually more than enough, and 5% is really the maximum that you have to have. So doing these things ahead of time sets you up for success down the road. The next step is to hire a realtor to be your buyer's agent throughout the process. The reality is you could do this before meeting with the lender, but meeting with the lender and hiring a real estate agent are the 2 first steps to take in order to buy your first home. It's also important to understand that when you hire a buyer's agent to represent you, you're rarely going to pay them. Most of the time, they will be paid by the seller. So don't worry about having to fork over any extra money, especially right out of the gate. But it is so key to have somebody who's going to work with and represent you and look out for your needs throughout the process. Now that those steps are taken care of, it's time to start having some fun and looking at houses. The best part is, with technology nowadays, you don't have to see everything in person. There's tons of great websites, apps, and your agent will be able to send you houses tailored to your needs. And that means you might only see 1 or 2 houses before putting in an offer. I'm working with a client right now who she only saw 1 house in person before making an offer and having it accepted. That's what happens when you're able to weed out all the properties that don't fit your needs through your computer instead of having to see them all in person. So don't be afraid if one of the first houses you see in person is one that you end up writing an offer on. The next step is putting in an offer when you find the right property for you. This may seem obvious, but the reality is in Colorado, we're still in a seller's market. And if you take too much time to write that offer, you might miss out on the property that you're after. You can also check out my video from last week where I detail the best ways to win if you get into a bidding war. Now that we've got your offer accepted, it's time for the home inspection. A home inspection is exactly what it sounds like. It's inspecting the home to see what kind of condition it's in. Some of the main things you're going to be looking out for are going to be foundational issues, problems with the roof, problems with the HVAC system, and in particular in Colorado, we're going to be looking for radon gas and seeing if that's going to be a problem. Depending on what comes in with the home inspection, you can either move forward with the contract as it was written, you can renegotiate to have things fixed or the price reduced, or if there's too many problems, you can simply walk away at this stage. Assuming you're getting a loan for the home, the next step is the appraisal process. An appraiser is going to come in and decide what the house is actually worth. Again, there's a few things that can come up in this situation. If the house is valued at more than you paid, congratulations, you got a great deal. If the house is valued less than what you paid, again, we go back to the negotiation table. We either determine that we're going to bring more money to closing in order to cover the difference between the appraisal and what we offered on the house. We might come down to the appraised amount, or we might meet in the middle. And again, depending on what happens here, you also have the opportunity to walk away if you do so choose. We're now in the final stretch. It's time for the final walkthrough before closing. I always like to do my final walkthroughs a day or 2 before closing. The reason is because what we're doing here is making sure the house is still in the condition it was when we first saw it, and if there were any inspection issues that were supposed to be fixed, we're making sure that they have been fixed. If you do it the day of closing, there's a chance that you might not be able to get those problems remedied. Whereas if you do it beforehand, there's enough time to come to an agreement before going to close. All that hard work is paid off and you've reached the closing table. Beforehand, you'll receive documents stating exactly how much money you need to bring to closing, and you'll wire that money to the proper people ahead of time. Then, at closing, you'll sign various documents for the loan, for the house, for title, and once you finish after an hour or so, you'll get the keys to your new house and it's time to start moving in. I know the process of buying a home, especially for the first time, can feel overwhelming. That's why it's so important to work with a great lender and a great realtor. They'll help alleviate the stress throughout the entire process. Once again, my name is Taylor Osasonic. If you have any questions or if there's anything I can help you with, please don't hesitate to ask. Even if you're not in Colorado, feel free to shoot me a message and I'll see how I can be of service to you. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to check out my new videos every Tuesday on Tuesdays with Taylor, and I'll see you all next week. Remember, be good out there. And if you can't be good, be careful.